Hi guys, bringing you something of a follow-up video today. This is a British 1960 pattern uniform, combat uniform, but made in DPM material. And this was the last production of the 1960 pattern combat uniform before the 1968 pattern uniform came into service. It wasn't actually introduced in 1968. This was produced in the very early 1970s and is seen in Northern Ireland and various other areas. Basically, it was a way of getting DPM out more quickly, but just having companies manufacture the existing uniform in the new DPM camouflage material. I say new, DPM had been developed through the 1960s. The Smock, essentially, if you've seen the video on the 1960 pattern combat uniform, it follows the design exactly of the later 1960 pattern combat Smock. You obviously have the flat pockets at the top, the pleated pockets at the waist, the half zip down to here, or 2/3, 3/4 zip, and then the button closure over the front. Still have the stitched collar, which of course would disappear on the 1968 pattern uniform. It really is just the later 1960 pattern combat Smock made in the DPM material. All the details are otherwise the same. This one unfortunately doesn't have a label, it doesn't have a date. Essentially, I think a lot of the manufacture of these didn't have dates anyway, that by this point you just get the contract number, which is a way of dating them to a certain degree of accuracy. But this doesn't have a label anyway, so there's no way of dating it. If I show you now on the sleeves here, you can see the half circle on each side of the seam, making the elbow reinforcement there. You still have the design here with the element of the design here with one part of the pocket stitched off there on the left breast. The epaulets and everything button high up on the collar, as with previous designs. However, unlike the 1960 pattern combat uniform, there isn't a hood associated with this per se as a standard issue item. There was a trials item made of the earlier design of hood than the one associated with the Korean War combats and then used with 1960 pattern, made in DPM material, but it was never introduced as standard issue. Then a separate design of hood was introduced for use with the 1968 pattern combat uniform. As I say, we'll just turn this around now. We can have a look at the back. Single seam down the back there. There will be less to say in this video, as I say, because the actual pattern of the Smock is no different from the later production 1960 pattern. Missing the central button here, originally this would have had the 3 buttons across for a hood, just as the regular 1960 pattern in olive drab did in the olive green, the drab. Forget the actual nomenclature for the colour, but the plain green example anyway. So there's the Smock. I will get this turned inside out now on the mannequin, and we can have a quick look at the details inside. Not that they're any different, and unfortunately, as I say, there is no label to look at, but we'll have a look nonetheless. So here we have the inside of the uniform, and obviously you're looking at the back as one on the inside. You can see it's a little clearer to see with the DPM material showing through the big poacher's pocket at the back here, the single button in the centre there. And this is very typical of early DPM printed material. If you've got the bleed through to the back of the cloth of the DPM print on the inside there, and it's also a lot more easy to observe that the lining comes down to just the waist and stops, and you can see the channel for the waist draw cord is formed by the end of the lining there. Move this around a bit, you can see the sleeves are lined right down to the cuff, and again you can see the bleed through of the DPM material there onto the inside face. Hanger hook at the neck there. Originally the label would have been here, but is no longer visible. Obviously it's been removed, so there's no detail visible, unfortunately. Same there with the cuffs. You've got you've got the inside breast pocket there, and another one on the other side there, duplicated. Spin it around again. Another one there as well. Just an interesting detail of this, you can see the lining material, slightly different colour on this side, so they're just using up bits of material as available. It doesn't really make any odds to the uniform, but that's been done there with a slightly different colour. In fact, that might be a patch piece looking at it now, possibly a repair. Looks very neatly done. Just one second, let's see on the other side if that's the same shape. No, it is the same shape of lining piece on there, so it's just a different piece of slightly different colour of cloth that's been used. There you can see the difference in the colour there, more of an olive colour than the green here. just using up material that was available that's of a right sort of shade. It doesn't affect the use of the garment at all. So there we are, that's the interior detail of the smock. Okay, so now we'll take a look at the trousers. They're this very nice early DPM print, and you can really see it's not as apparent on the smock. It is visible to me stood this close, but it's quite apparent on these. You've got the bleed through for the light, the tan colour bleeds through onto the green, so you get this outlining. And I just like that detail. I quite like the early DPM prints. It's quite a bright colour as well, quite bright colours on this. These are in really nice condition. They do have a label, which we'll have a look at in a minute. As I say, they follow the 1960 pattern design, just made in the DPM cloth. If we turn them, if we open them right out here, you can see the really easy way to identify these compared to 1968 pattern. There are other differences, but one of the easiest ways is the fact they only have one pocket on the left leg. 68 pattern has a pocket on each leg. You have the dressing pocket here, which of course would still be on the 68 pattern as well. The button down belt loops, as on the previous pattern we've looked at, the green 68 pattern. You have side adjusters here, the button side adjusters the same as well, and obviously belt loops button down all the way around, and then the simple patch pocket at the back here on the right hip there. Okay, I have the trousers inside out now, and you can see again the lining. You can see the length of the lining. It stops about 4 inches above 5 inches above the bottom of the leg there. You can again see that more clearly here with the white, the paler interior of the DPM fabric there. You can see at the bottom there, lined in this sort of, again, a slightly different tone again of this browner material. You can see the brace buttons around the waist there, front and back, the interior of the fly there, the zip fly. As I say, not a huge amount of other detail to look at there. They're just the 1960 pattern combat trousers made in this DPM material. We'll have a close-up look at the label now. So here you can see the label, and you can see at the top there, trousers combat 1960 pattern. It's a bit faded, but underneath there's the NATO stock number, size 4, and then the NATO size, which is a metric size range. And then beneath the maker's label, you can see, or maker's name, you can see the contract number underneath. And then, as previously, you have the instructions to the right. So there we have it, the 1960 pattern DPM combat uniform. As I say, exactly the same as the later 1960 pattern combat uniform, just made in DPM material. So a lot of the details I'll have given in this are redundant. However, some people did ask in the previous video on the 1960 pattern combat uniform for details of this. So I thought I'd make the video as soon as I could. So I hope you found that interesting. If you haven't already, check out the Facebook page. There's a link to that in the description, where you'll get previews of videos, sneak peeks. There's also, I post photographs and things there which I can't really include in YouTube videos from the collection. And there's also a good place to chat and discuss things if you want to ask me questions or present me further information on topics that have come up in the videos. Also, if you haven't and you find my videos interesting, please consider subscribing. And if you're newly subscribing or subscribed already, make sure you've hit the notification button so you get updates when I upload new videos. So thanks for watching, and until next time, bye for now.